Hello everyone, this is Anusha doing my master's in cybersecurity from Grand Canyon University. Today, my presentation is about storage devices. Agenda. We're going to learn the similarities and differences between Windows and Linux file system, storage solutions, ethics and decision making, summary. So, before we go ahead to Windows and Linux file system, we want to know what is storage device. A storage device is something that we could store the information. It's like a backup and to restore a backup. So talking about Windows and Linux file system, similarities and differences. First one is directory structure. In Windows, we have folders and file system, but in Linux, we use binaries and libraries. The second difference is case sensitive. In Windows, we can't open the same file, rename it, or save it at the same time. But in Linux, we can rename it, save it at the same time, and it is case sensitive. For example, in Windows, if on a shared folder, if I and somebody else is using the same file, when the second person tried to access the information, it would throw a pop-up saying, is it a read-only copy or it's a modify. If the other person chooses it modify, it sends a notification back to the first person saying that somebody else has wanted to use the file. Can you please close it? Otherwise, it will not allow this person number two to save it. So that's one of the difference. And third is path. In Windows, we use backslashes, but in Linux, we use forward slash. Fourth, file. So it is not necessary everything is files in Windows. You can have exes, you can have media player, so on and so forth. But in Linux, everything is file. And the last one is modify. As I said before, Windows, you cannot modify a file or rename it the file, or you can have the same file name. But in Linux, you can modify, rename the same file, but it is case sensitive. Example, if you're naming the file as Anusha, all small, that's one type you can do it. Second one is all caps, that's second type. Third type is you can have few small and few cap, like a cap and the rest is small. So those are the three different types. We can have the same file name in Linux, but in Windows, you can't have the same file name. Moving on to the next slide, which would be a better organizational value? I would prefer Linux, although it's not user friendly. Not everybody knows Linux, but for backing up the data and restoring it, Linux plays a major role than the Windows. Although Windows do have the restore solutions, but those are limited features. Moving on to the next slide, enterprise storage solutions. So which one is the best storage solution? I would say a cloud-based is the best storage solution these days because it is it is it is it can be purchased by a provider. It is no on-prem storage. Everything is cloud-based. And the third thing is it can be accessed by a network or a storage device. Uh, and there's no storage limit on it, cost efficient, and you can have management as service, which is MAS, to manage the enterprise cloud storage. But on the other hand, even though we have NAS and SAN storage solution, I would talk about um, DAS, which is the direct attached storage. Why I'm choosing this one is because um, this uses a hard drive so to store the solution, and it cannot be accessed by servers. Although if you want to connect just that hard drive to the server, you can access the information. It has a storage limit. So if it is like the most important files that you don't want anybody to have their hands on it, this could be a best solution. Although NAS and SAN would play a better solution, but this would be like sensitive sensitive data that the company wants their hands on it. And storage ethics. So now that we talked about the similarities and differences between a file system of different types of OSs, and we talked about what would be the best storage solution. We want to talk about storage ethics because we are saving the information at somewhere else, not on-prem, not at the location that we know. We are using a third party. We are involving somebody else to have our information saved for us based upon their features and availability. So the consent would play an important role. Like both the parties should be aware of the terms and conditions. Next one is maintaining anonymity and confidentiality while handling the data. So if we are using another solution to have to protect our data backed up, then confidentiality plays a major important role, and we should look into all terms and conditions by the both parties before signing the contract. And clear communication between the provider and data sharing would help both the parties to help the data collected securely, maintained, and then restore in case needed. So, with that being said, in this topic, we learned about what is storage device, what are the different OSs that can be used to storage the information, what is the best storage solution, and storage ethics. Thank you for watching.